Welcome back to Nation of Glory, the channel where the brightest stars in Hollywood and wrestling collide with the rawest human emotions, turning dreams into legends one heartbeat at a time. Today, we're diving deep into a story that's going to wrap around your soul like a warm blanket on a rainy night, pulling you through laughter, tears, and that unbreakable spirit that makes us all keep fighting. This isn't just another wrestler bio. Oh no, this is the heartfelt saga of a young woman who turned the grit of London's streets into the glamour of the squared circle. You might know her now as Blake Monroe, the fierce, captivating force tearing up WWE's NXT brand, holding that NXT Women's North American Championship high like it's her destiny. But before the spotlights and the pyro, she was Mariah May Mead, a wide-eyed girl from England with a fire in her belly that no one could extinguish. So settle in, grab your favorite drink, maybe even a tissue or two, because we're going all the way back to the start, tracing every step, every scar, and every victory that made her the icon she is today. This is her journey, felt deeply, shared openly, and meant to inspire anyone who's ever felt like the odds were stacked against them. Imagine the bustling streets of Tottenham, Greater London, back in the late 90s, a place where the air hums with the energy of a city that never sleeps, but where dreams can sometimes feel as distant as the stars hidden by the smog. On August 4, 1998, Mariah May Mead entered the world, born to a family that knew more about hard work than handouts. Her dad was a mechanic, grease under his nails from dawn till dusk, fixing cars in a small garage that barely kept the lights on. Her mom worked as a waitress in a local cafe, serving endless cups of tea with a smile that hid the exhaustion of double shifts. Money was always tight in the Mead household. They lived in a modest flat where the walls echoed with the sounds of neighbors' lives mixing with their own. Mariah was the middle child, sandwiched between an older brother who dreamed of playing football professionally and a younger sister who was just a toddler when Mariah started noticing the world around her. But even in those early days, there was a spark in Mariah, a curiosity, a flair for the dramatic that set her apart from the other kids on the block. Growing up in Tottenham wasn't easy. The neighborhood had its rough edges, kids running wild in the parks, the occasional siren piercing the night, and that constant pressure to fit in or fade away. Mariah's family didn't have much, but they had love, fierce, unyielding love. Her parents sacrificed everything to give their kids a shot at something better. Mariah still remembers the Christmases where gifts were handmade or secondhand, but the joy was real because her mom would bake her famous apple pie, filling the flat with a sweetness that made everything feel okay. We didn't have a lot, Mariah once shared in an interview, her voice cracking just a bit, but we had each other, and that pie. It was like magic. It made me believe anything was possible. Those simple moments became the foundation of her resilience, teaching her that true strength comes from within, not from what you own. As a little girl, Mariah found escape in stories. She'd lose herself in books from the local library, imagining herself as the heroines in fairy tales, but with a twist, she always added action, flips, and dramatic entrances. Television was her portal to other worlds, and that's where she first stumbled upon professional wrestling. It was a rainy Saturday afternoon when she was about 8 years old, flipping channels on the old box TV in the living room. There it was, WWE on the screen, larger-than-life superstars like Mickey James and Jeff Hardy captivating the crowd with their athleticism and charisma. Mickey, with her infectious energy and never-give-up attitude, became Mariah's idol. She was tough, she was fun, she was everything I wanted to be, Mariah recalls. And Jeff Hardy, with his high-flying wrists and painted face, showed her that wrestling was art in motion. From that day on, Mariah was hooked. She'd mimic the moves in her tiny bedroom, using pillows as opponents and her bed as a ring. Her brother would join in sometimes, pretending to be her tag team partner, while her little sister cheered from the sidelines. But it wasn't just play, it was a calling. Wrestling made her feel alive, powerful, like she could conquer anything. School days were a mixed bag for Mariah. She was bright, always top of her class in English and drama, where she could channel that inner performer. But physically, she was petite, standing at just over 5 feet even as a teen, and kids teased her for being too small to do anything athletic. "You're like a doll, Mariah," they'd say with laughs that stung deeper than she let on. Those words hurt, but they fueled her. After school, she'd rush home to watch more wrestling tapes her dad borrowed from a friend, studying every suplex, every promo. By age 12, she was begging her parents to let her join a local gym. They couldn't afford fancy classes, so Mariah improvised. She'd run laps around the park, do push-ups against the kitchen counter, and practice flips on the grass until her hands were raw. Her mom worried, seeing the bruises, but her dad saw the determination. "If this is your dream, kiddo," he'd say, ruffling her hair, "go get it. Just promise me you'll be safe." That promise became her mantra, a quiet vow to herself and her family. Teenage years brought more challenges. At 14, Mariah's family hit a rough patch when her dad lost his job due to the garage closing. Bills piled up, and for a while, they relied on food banks and odd jobs. Mariah stepped up, taking a part-time gig at the same cafe as her mom, bussing tables after school. It was humbling, exhausting, but it taught her the value of hard work. Amid the struggle, wrestling remained her light. She started attending local indie shows, scraping together pocket money for tickets. Seeing live action up close, the sweat, the roars, the realness, sealed her fate. I remember my first show, she says, eyes lighting up. The energy hit me like a wave. I knew I had to be part of it. At 16, she convinced her parents to let her train at a small wrestling school in London. It was a 2-hour bus ride each way, but Mariah never complained. The trainers were tough, pushing her tiny frame to its limits, but she absorbed it all like a sponge. Bumps on the mat left her sore for days, but the thrill of nailing her first arm drag made it worth every ache. By 2018, at just 19, Mariah made her debut, not as a wrestler, but as a ring announcer. It was a foot in the door at a small UK promotion, her voice booming through the speakers with a confidence that belied her nerves. Ladies and gentlemen, she'd announce, heart pounding, welcome to the ring. Those early gigs were unpaid or low pay, but they built her presence. Fans noticed her poise, her glamour, even in a simple dress, she shone. But Mariah wanted more, she wanted to wrestle. In 2019, she stepped into the ring for her first match, adopting the name Mariah May, a nod to her real self with a touch of star power. Her debut was in a tiny hall with maybe 50 people, but to her, it was WrestleMania. She lost, but the crowd's cheers echoed in her ears long after. That night, I felt invincible, she reflects. Like all the teasing, all the doubts, they didn't matter anymore. The indie scene was brutal. Mariah traveled the UK circuit, sleeping in hostels or on friends' floors, eating cheap noodles to save cash. She faced skepticism, promoters questioning if a pretty girl could hang with the boys. But she proved them wrong, match after match, with crisp strikes and high-flying moves that drew gasps. Along the way, she dabbled in modeling and acting, landing small gigs in commercials and indie films. It was a way to pay bills, but wrestling was her heart. In 2019, opportunity knocked, a WWE tryout. At 21, she flew to the States, nerves like butterflies in her stomach. The tryout was grueling, endless drills, promos under bright lights. She impressed, but no contract came. It crushed me, she admits, voice soft. I cried on the flight home, thinking maybe I wasn't good enough. But rejection lit a fire. Instead of quitting, she pushed harder. That's when Japan called. In 2020, amid a world pausing for the pandemic, Mariah adapted, training virtually and staying sharp. By 2021, she signed with Stardom, Japan's premier women's promotion. Moving to Tokyo was a culture shock. New language, new food, homesickness hitting hard. She missed her family's Sunday roasts, her sister's giggles. Late-night calls home were her lifeline, her mom's voice a soothing balm. You're doing what you love, darling, her mom would say. We're proud, no matter what. In Stardom, Mariah evolved. She became the glamour, Mariah May, blending beauty with brutality. Matches against legends like Julia and Tam Nakano tested her limits. She bled, she bruised, but she won hearts. Titles came, tag team gold, tournament victories, and with them, confidence. Japan taught her discipline, respect for the craft. Those crowds are silent until you earn it, she says. When they erupt, it's pure magic. But success had shadows. Injuries piled up, a sprained ankle here, a concussion there. Anxiety crept in during long tours, far from home. Mariah battled self-doubt, questioning if the pain was worth it. A particularly bad neck injury in 2022 sidelined her for months. Lying in a Tokyo hospital, she hit rock bottom. I thought about quitting, she confesses. The loneliness was overwhelming. Therapy helped, as did support from fellow wrestlers. She opened up about mental health, sharing on social media how vulnerability isn't weakness. Fans responded with love, sending messages that reminded her why she started. Healing, she returned stronger, her in-ring style sharper, her promos more emotional. In 2023, AEW came knocking. Signing with the upstart promotion was a dream, bigger stages, American audiences. Debuting as Mariah May, she allied with Toni Storm, creating unforgettable storylines. Her charisma shone in Hollywood-themed segments, blending wrestling with acting flair. Wins stacked up, feuds electrified crowds. But behind the glamour, Mariah yearned for more stability, a place to build a legacy. Personal life added layers, she dated sparingly, focusing on career, but a brief romance ended in heartbreak, teaching her to guard her heart. Love in this business is tricky, she muses. The road takes its toll. Then, in early 2025, the pivot. With her AEW contract expiring, whispers of WWE interest grew. Mariah, now 26, weighed options. I wanted a fresh start, she explains. In June 2025, she signed with WWE, debuting on NXT as Blake Monroe, a name evoking mystery and power, inspired by icons like Marilyn Monroe but twisted with edge. The repackaging was bold, sleek gear, intense promos, a character that's glamorous yet gritty. Fans were skeptical at first, another import, but Blake won them over. Her in-ring debut was electric, a high-stakes match where she flew off the top rope for the win. Momentum built, leading to her crowning moment, capturing the NXT Women's North American Championship in her first reign. The crowd erupted as she held the title aloft, tears streaming. This is for every little girl who was told she's too small, she shouted in her victory speech. For my family, for England, this is ours. Life is Blake Monroe as a whirlwind. NXT spotlights her talents, matches against rising stars like Roxanne Perez, storylines blending Hollywood drama with wrestling intensity. She's acted in small WWE films, her modeling background adding polish. But it's the emotional depth that sets her apart. Blake's character draws from Mariah's real struggles, promos about overcoming doubt resonate deeply. Off camera, she's grounded, visiting family in London, supporting charities for mental health. Wrestling saved me, she says. Now I want to save others. Love found her too, a steady relationship with a non-wrestler who understands her world, bringing balance. The future gleams bright. Rumors swirl of a main roster call-up, perhaps SmackDown or Raw, where she could chase world titles. Hollywood beckons, agents eye her for roles in action flicks, her stunt skills a bonus. But Mariah, Blake, stays humble. I've been the underdog, the traveler, the champion, she reflects. Every step taught me to keep going. Her story isn't over, it's evolving, inspiring a new generation. And that's the incredible journey of Mariah May Mead, aka Blake Monroe, a tale of grit, glamour, and unbreakable heart. From Tottenham streets to NXT's throne, she's proof that dreams don't die, they transform. If this story tugged at your heartstrings, lit a fire in your soul, do me a favor, hit that like button to spread the glory. Share it with the dreamers in your life, the ones chasing their own spotlights. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Nation of Glory and ring that bell. We bring these emotional epics every week, celebrating the stars who turned pain into power. Thank you for joining us, stay glorious, keep believing, and we'll see you next time.